Hello, sinners.
Welcome to CIN On the Go.
All right, you might be wondering why I call you sinners. We have a collaborative intervention network, which is intended for special education teachers or those needing some support learning about special education teacher practices and best practices. I am Theresa Wallace. I'm the manager of special projects at Northeast Metro 916, and you are?
My name is Megan Halverson, and I'm an autism and emotional behavioral disorder specialist at Northeast Metro 916 as well.
We've been doing CIN, which is our collaborative intervention network. This is our 7th year of CIN, and as a part of expanding our outreach, we decided to do a podcast, and we are scared.
Very scared. I'm glad I have my boss here to get me through it.
So we are going to be learning in public with all of you and sharing our thoughts on some best practices, some things that we should no longer be doing because the research has shown that they're not effective anymore. But why should you listen to us? That's kind of a key question. So a little bit about my background. So I have been in education for 21 years. I have worked in all federal settings from federal setting 1 to federal setting 8. Which is hospital level setting. I have multiple licenses in special education. I don't think I can even list them. But autism, EBD, physical and health disabilities. I'm a TBI specialist, SLD. Yep, I'm definitely going to skip some. I also have my special ed director license and am currently an administrator. But I've also taught in higher education for a number of years, probably about 10 years in multiple institutions. It is a passion project for me, as well as for Megan, to be teaching this generation and the next generation of special education teachers best practices and how to support students and families so that they are getting the best possible intervention and instruction in the classroom.
And I think what's great is we really stay up to date with those evidence-based practices. We are in practice. And so I feel that that is an asset towards that higher ed role that we all have.
What is your background in education?
Yeah, thanks, Theresa. So my background is I started as a paraprofessional working with students who had the educational category of emotional behavioral disorders. I realized that that was my passion area. So I went back to school and I received my license in emotional behavioral disorders. And then I went back to get my autism spectrum disorder degree, and I have my master's. So from there, I've taught in a variety of different settings, setting 3, paraprofessional. I then came to 916 as an autism specialist. So through this role, I serve students in our member districts. In setting 1 through 3, my passion area is that early intervention to support our students when they're young. And so they have the skills that can get them through as they age. We really want to support those lagging skills with those evidence-based practices and high leverage practices. But through that, I also teach in higher ed. I teach in a couple different programs. My favorite is really educational evaluation and supporting students in those cultural and linguistic factors. So we're making sure that the tools we use are representative of the certain students that we serve. So lots of experience.
Yeah, and all of special education ties back to the purpose of an evaluation, the purpose of due process, the purpose of why you're making that, how you're using that information,
Right.
and then how it translates into all of those due process documents. And while that may sound simplistic, if you don't understand how they are best used, then you're not collecting good data, you're not making good database decisions in the classroom, and you don't know how to design your instruction and intervention.
Right. And we always want to take that strength-based approach. So using those evaluation tools to identify what are those students' strengths gives us those resources to build upon. So meeting students where they're at and building up from there is really key to our work.
We also know that saying this does not mean that it is easy.
Yep. We know.
I've been in this for 21 years. How many years for you?
Probably 25.
Right? So a long time.
Yeah.
And our jobs revolve around supporting teachers and supporting the students in their classrooms that need additional layers of support, right? So those extra pair of eyes to collaborate with and consult with so that everyone can be successful. The teacher can be successful and have the supports they need to intervene and teach those students really effectively. And burnout is real, right? It's so hard to be in this job. So this podcast is particularly for the target audience of special education teachers who teach those students in a more intensive setting, like a 2.5 per se, like not just a typical resource room, although you may find this helpful, but more of those center-based classrooms or Fed setting 3 or 4 or more intensive classes like that.
Yeah, and I want to just highlight, we're not only targeting teachers, but we're thinking about how can we get all of our lens to support that student and that program. And so thinking about related service, whether it be speech language pathologists, occupational therapists, administration, families, student voice, how do we all come together to develop a plan that we all buy into and that we all can support? I think that's such a key point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this as an intro episode is supposed to tell you who we are, what you're going to hear about. We are not the only ones you're going to hear from. We have a huge team of super dynamic professionals, a variety of fields of expertise, including school psychs and behavior analysts, BCBAs, LICSW, social workers, superheroes, all of them.
Yes.
Licensed teachers with a variety of backgrounds and expertise, and a lot of other people that will call in on specific topics that we want to talk about. But our goal is to keep this podcast short, right? 10 to 15 minutes per topic. That way you can listen to them in bite-sized chunks and think about how it applies to you and your classroom and your practice, and then apply it, right? We don't want these things to live in no man's land. We want you to be able to be like, oh, I could change that tomorrow and be more effective for my student than myself.
I think apply it and feel free to share, right? Again, we want to think about that collective whole. And so use these resources to share with those colleagues that you work with.
So when we call you sinners, it's because you are a part of the Collaborative Intervention Network and because I think it's funny. So lean in with us. That's the goal. And we hope to have you connect with us long term, whether we see you in person for our CIN meetings that happen 4 times a year or on this podcast. Connect with us. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, and we'll put up the website link. So if you want to take a look at previous sessions and or resources, that will be available to you.
All right. Well, welcome to the podcast, and we'll talk again soon.
See you later, sinners.
All right. Bye.